I'm joined by former State Department spokesperson Heather Nauert and YURIY SAK, who is the advisor to the Minister of Strategic Industries in Ukraine. Heather, let me start with you. Let's hear from French President Emmanuel Macron on the readiness of his country.
Mais ils ont des limites. Ils ont des limites. Il y a 2 ans, nous disions jamais on n'enverra de chars. On l'a fait. Il y a 2 ans, on disait jamais nous n'enverrons de missiles de moyenne portée. On l'a fait. Mais on disait jamais on enverra d'avions. Certains sont en train de le faire. Donc, nous avons mis trop de limites, si je puis dire, dans notre vocabulaire. Nous ne sommes pas dans l'escalade. Nous ne sommes pas en guerre contre la Russie. Simplement, il faut être clair, nous ne devons pas laisser la Russie gagner.
Well, I hope you have a monitor so you're able to see it in case you don't speak French. But
I don't speak French, but I get what he was saying, yeah.
Okay, so you just got back from Ukraine. What's your take on what he said and what you saw?
Yeah, look, a lot of Americans are concerned about escalation. I don't see that as being the case. Putin has talked about nuclear threats over the past several days. He's doing that just to look strong as he faces re-election. And Macron is trying to do the same thing, look strong as he faces re-election. But look, here's what is important. When I worked in the Trump administration, we talked a lot about supporting our friends and not supporting our adversaries and no longer giving money to those countries that don't support us. Ukraine is a friend. Ukraine is in the fight of its life under Vladimir Putin. And Vladimir Putin does not intend to end with Ukraine. He intends to go into Poland, potentially Moldova and others. Supporting Ukraine, for the U.S. to support Ukraine, this is keeping the United States out of something that could happen that is much, much bigger than what we're facing today. In my view, Congress should pass the supplemental that increases the military funding for Ukraine. Ukraine is willing to do this fight all on its own, and all we're providing is our old weapons. Let's give that to them. Let's provide them our friends with that, and let's also continue with humanitarian support. And I get it that that's a little controversial today, that a lot of Americans are concerned about how we spend our money here at home, and that is important. But if Ukraine can't rebuild its hospitals, if they can't bandage their men on the front lines, they can't continue this fight. We need to continue our support for Ukraine. They are our friends, and this is about America's position in the world and America's strength in the world. And make no mistake that President Xi and our other adversaries are watching how we react right now. When we are divided as a nation, that is exactly when our adversaries choose to attack us. And we've got to keep a close eye out of that.
So, Yuri, you're on the ground fighting every day. How much assistance is needed in Ukraine by certainly the United States? And give us an update on what is going on there.
Well, Rob, first of all, I'd like to say that for as long as we get people like Heather with her assessment of the situation, with the way she explains the reasons why America should stand behind Ukraine, why the civilized countries around the world should stand with Ukraine, I think for as long as we have this position on channels like NEWSMAX, I think we'll be fine in terms of securing the support of our allies. Now, when it comes to the situation on the front lines, at the moment, of course, we're coming out of the winter season. Some of the military assistance that we were promised by our allies is arriving now. So in some parts of the front line, the situation is sort of changes a little bit in our favor, in favor of the Ukrainian armed forces. Russians have, as you know, they have been losing like people by the thousands when they were taking the control of Avdiivka, which is in the Donbass area. But at the moment, we are still target of massive missile strikes. Just yesterday, one of the largest Ukrainian cities, Odessa, was a target by Iskander ballistic missiles. Civilian houses were destroyed. 21 civilian people were killed. 75 were injured, among them many children. So the terror continues. And, you know, going back to your earlier report, it's interesting to see how one of the biggest countries in the world is voting to elect an indicted war criminal to be their president for the 5th time. This is ridiculous.
So, Heather, in the final minute or so, how much credence do you give to Putin's threats that he'll use nukes if any boots enter Ukraine from Western nations?
Look, I think Putin is trying to scare America. He's trying to scare the world. And yes, while they are a nuclear power, he's also trying to appear strong at home. I don't anticipate that he would utilize those. He's just trying to scare us off, and we should not be scared. Look, if we don't continue our support for Ukraine, our friend, this war will get so much bigger, and we don't want American boots to have to go on the ground in Europe. I want to prevent that. My baby brother is a Marine. I don't want to send him to Europe. Let's keep him here at home. But let's help our friends do the work that they are already doing themselves so valiantly and continue our support for Ukraine. And by the way, we can put structures in place, and Ukraine is asking for our help in monitoring the funding, the military equipment that we send over there. We can provide them that support so we can ensure that our hard-earned tax dollars are going to the right place and never being misused. We can provide Ukraine with that support, and frankly, they're asking for it.
Heather, it's good to have you today. Yuri,
nice to see you.
Yeah, stay safe, Yuri, okay?
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.